Hello, hello, welcome everyone to the first Australis Shield of Season 5. Today we're featuring the Ember meta and we've got a really talented field of battlers to join us this evening. I'm joined with my co-host MurkrowAsylum. Welcome Murkrow, how you doing mate?
Yeah, I'm going great, thanks. How you going, Fishy?
I'm great. Now you might have noticed that Steve isn't here. Unfortunately Steve's unwell and as such we are taking over his stream. We've jumped into the background and we've overthrown him. So don't expect to see too much Steve tonight, but he's in the background doing all the tech work for us, which is a great help. Now, Mercury, Ember meta. It's one of the current faction metas. What are your initial thoughts on this meta?
My initial thoughts after having a little bit of a stream with it is there's a core 4 or 5 and the rest is just a feeling to try and break up that core. So whether you're looking at Polyraphs, Charizards, Quillfish, Piloswines, and then you got the other mons to try and break it up, whether it's the Electrifiers or Surf Edges, Machamps.
Yeah. Well, let's have a quick look at our competitors for this evening and see who we've got dueling it out for the title of Shield winner. So we've got Rick Flareon, as we all know, champion of the Melbourne Regionals earlier this year. Still, actually this year, barely. Triple crit, impressive battler, Dennis, Dank, and Jim. So we've got a pretty stacked field here. Mercury, it's going to be tough to pick a winner.
Yeah, I can't pick a winner. Like, these are all top level battlers, all in the right, deserve to be here, and any one of them can take this out tonight.
Absolutely. I think we've got 4 previous winners from previous Shields in the last season, Season 4, in Rick Flareon, Dennis, Dank Broad, and Jim 2504. So, tell you what, it's going to be season of the veterans here.
Yeah, it's going to be some good battles, and I can't wait to get into it.
Alrighty, let's have a look at what our competitors are running for this evening. Alright, far either way, I can see something jumping out at me, Mercury. What do you see?
I see a Mammothswine.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's jumping out. Like, everyone's running the Piloswine. So it'd be interesting to see what Dank sees in Mammothswine that Piloswine doesn't have. So that'd be good to see. There's a lot of Glygars, a lot of Polyraphs, Charizards, Quillfishes. So the core's here. It's just what the other mons they're using and how they end up playing it. I think it's going to be an energy-based game. Energy-based meta, sorry.
Absolutely. I'm seeing 6 Polyraths, 4 Electivires, 5 Piloswines, and I think is that 6 Quillfish as well. So obviously it's a bit of a condensed meta. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players utilize them on.
I've noticed that there's 2 Gliscors and 4 Glygars, so that's going to be everyone's taking their different pick there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Return is the preferred moveset on Gligar for this meta, so if you don't have that, maybe you opt for the Gliscor with Earthquake for the coverage move.
And there's 1 Surf Edge and 1 Primate as well, so there's Runerigus running around, so it's going to be interesting to see how they use these mons.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we ever take a look at the first matchup for this evening? All right, we have Dennis versus Dank Broad and Broadliterate versus Jim. Are we able to take a look at what they're running side by side? Here we are. So Dank versus Dennis. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of crossover here with those Polys, Quills, and Charizards. What do you make of these teams?
As you said, there's a lot of crossovers in here. there's that mammoth one we were talking about earlier. They decided to go. Danks decided to go that over the pilot swine, and he's gone glide score over Gligar. So it'd be good to see what strategy he comes up with. And there's that Electrifier as well, popping up on Dennis's team.
The interesting thing about Electrifier, it's got 2 ground types to overwhelm, but it does often run Ice Punch, which can really hurt that glide score. It'd be interesting to see whether Dennis thinks he's got much room to utilise this Pokemon against Dank's team. I think it could be a risky pick, but if he gets it in the right spot, it could pay off for sure.
And if Dank decides that Dennis is going to bring the Electrifier, what is he going to do to counter if he takes a risk and brings the ground types?
Absolutely. The ground types are looking somewhat... Oh, it looks like we're getting into our first match here. Let's see. Teams both sides have locked in. And we've got Quillfish led into Electivire. Yeah, Dennis has done the risk. He's brought Electivire in the league game 1.
You go,
sorry, mate.
Sorry, if you see the back line, Dennis has brought Charizard with Poliwrath, which is which is interesting. He wants to keep that away from the Poliwrath.
Oh, and Dank shielded the bait there, which is a bit rough on his health. And as he's done that, the Poliwrath has now come in, getting greeted by a Shadow Ball. Does Dennis decide to shield this? Oh, big no shield. That's a lot of damage.
Let's go. Does Dennis go for the Ice Punch here, or quick switch into the Surf Etch?
Yeah, it looks like that we've got a little bit of
lag
on Dennis's side, but hopefully this clears up soon. Looks like a Skull's been clicked, and it's been... Oh, it looks like it got no bubble there, so that's really unfortunate.
And the Poliwrath gets counted down.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this Surf Etch is loaded on energy, but there's 2 shields on Dennis's side. Interesting to see whether he... Okay, it looks like he's coming with the Charizard here to greet the Surf Etched.
And Surf Etch is going for the big move. Will it land?
Oh, look at that. No shielded by the Charizard when he's up 2 shields, and that does so much damage, resulting in simultaneous KO. And now the Electivire's got 2 shields and not a lot of places to go.
Yeah. Be good, interesting to see how Dank plays the Electivire and whether or not he shields it to try and get rid of it.
Yeah, so it looks like Dank's shooting up the Ice Punch here. We'll look to maybe go for a fast move down, and it looks to be successful. So Dennis finishing with 2 shields.
Yeah, that was a... that nuke was well played there by Dank.
Yeah, that was definitely caught Dennis off guard. And it looks like, there was obviously a little bit of stutter lag there, so we'll see whether the players decided that made a bit of a difference to the outcome.
You'll wait and see what...
Yeah, I think Dank has said that, to Dennis, it might be worth you having a look at rematch there, mate. So we'll see whether Dennis decides he wants to replay that game. Obviously, Dank's at a bit of disadvantage now because he's shown that he has the Brave Bird. I don't think you're going to no-shield that one next time.
And that's a massive advantage for Dennis to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you expect Dennis to do to change it up for this game?
I reckon he may not bring the Electivire this time. He's shown his hand. Dank could see that it's key mon, so if he tries to take it out, he might just leave it on the bench and just bring in his Quillfish or Gligar just to change it up a bit.
Yeah, I think his line was solid. He just needs to obviously maybe use some shields this battle that might make things a little bit closer. Obviously, the Electivire didn't get stuck on the ground type, so that might incentivize him to bring it back again, but also Dank could be thinking, well, that thing's a bit scary, I might come back with my ground types this time. And it looks like we are proceeding as planned with the battles, no rematch, so we're going into the second battle shortly, hopefully.
We'll see what changes are made on both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Steve's just noted too in in the Twitch chat that it's a Timbers versus Thunderous matchup at the moment. So it's a bit of an old rivalry that's sparked up, and it's always great when these two teams come together from factions to duke it out.
Yeah, I agree. Dennis is a fantastic battler. He's done well for Thunderous for a few seasons now, and Dank's obviously been with the Timbers for a long time. So
yeah, absolutely. Both previous winners of the Shield too, so we already know that they're top caliber battlers.
Yeah, both top notch.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see that Dank brought that surf etched for game one, despite seeing the double flyers on Dennis's team. I wonder if he would stick to that sort of format for this round.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not he brings it or not. He's shown his hand with the Brave Bird, so it's not a surprise anymore. So we see whether or not he brings it or not.
Yeah,
and Dennis did bring a counter or two for it, so we'll see how he wants to strengthen his team, if any.
Yeah, I think we definitely went for the risky lead play with the Electivire. Obviously, staying with two shields up in the lead match is probably where you want such a squishy mon there.
Yeah.
But I think, Electivire's got great ability to take shields and really put a lot of pressure on the opponent if it gets in the right spot. It looks like we're going into game two here. Okay, take us away, Murkrow.
And we have Surf Etch into Gligar.
Yeah, obviously a great matchup here for Gligar, resisting those counter damages while doing super effective wing attacks in return. Only problem is it needs to get to a return to do any sort of charge move damage.
And we see a Night Slash. I wonder what. And there's no shield. If you've seen the back, the Electrifier's in there as well, and Dank's got to be a little bit concerned that he doesn't get paired up with a Poliwrath.
Yeah, and I just saw that the Night Slash got the attack boost, and Dank's gone for the Brave Bird, but it gets shielded straight away. So this is really a tough spot now for Dank. He's going to have to switch out into his Quillfish to try and pressure some shields out of this Gligar and get rid of it.
And Dennis decides to no shield. I think he's happy for the Gligar to go down.
Yeah,
after he gets out of return.
Yeah, got the return off. Quillfish has to respect this, especially after the damage boost, and does so. Can Dank poison jab this thing down?
And it looks like he does.
What will Dennis decide to do here? So he's come in with
Poliwrath. This is favourable as well for Dennis on multiple levels, especially with the Electrify in the back with the Poliwrath that Dank hasn't brought in yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Dennis is really starting to take control of this battle, getting rid of that Quillfish. And
if you notice, Dennis isn't running Dynamic Punch on his Poliwrath.
Well, that actually makes the mirror a lot worse because you've got no neutral damage, whereas this Poliwrath can really start to apply a lot of damage on Dank's side with that Dynamic Punch and Scald combo. Oh, and look at that. Big
damage there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does he get off the Wildfire? Yep. And it looks like we're going to get a shield on Dank's side.
This is not over yet. This Poliwrath is still quite healthy, and he's got the advantage of neutral coverage over Dennis's energy lead. So it'd be interesting to see here whether it comes down to the wire.
And his Dynamic Punch is going to do a bit of damage to this Poliwrath.
Yeah, it does a good 60% there. That's a lot of damage.
Dennis can only hit it with a Scald. Unfortunately, there's no Dynamic Punch to hit it back with good damage.
Yeah, we can see here that Scald really just does not add up enough. No defense attack fall either, which would have been crucial here. But Dank able to survive that last Scald, gets off his own Dynamic Punch in return. I think this is going to be a good game, Murkrow.
Yeah, Poliwrath's just too strong in the back, and the fact that Dennis just didn't have the Dynamic Punch for the mirror just made it even more difficult.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Ice Punch is great coverage for those ground flyers and the like, but when you get stuck in the mirror, it can be a tough time.
Yeah, and that's the choice the trainers need to make, whether or not they want to go for the dynamic punch for the mirror or whether or not they want to go for the coverage in the ice punch for the other mons.
And so it looks like Dank Road has secured his trip to the semi-finals in a 2-0 versus Dennis, but I think they've agreed to play a third. I'm not sure whether it looks like we'll be streaming that one as well, which is great. Always love to see the third battle come through.
Yeah.
A bit of showmanship.
Yeah, it's good to see the third.
Yeah, it's a chance for Dennis to redeem himself a little bit and grab that extra, that redemption win. And Dank's eyes, he gets a bit more practice, with his team ahead of the next round.
Yeah, and Dennis can come up with something here to get a consolation win. We'll see if he brings the Electrifier this time or whether or not he tries to play the Polygraph a bit different just to try and get out of that mirror.
Yeah, I think he may look to bring a bit more coverage to that Polyrath now because it's relatively unchecked. If you look at Dennis's team, there's nothing that hits it super hard without having to spend a shield here or there. So maybe the Electivire.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it needs to come every game just to check the Polyrath. Maybe the Zard, the wing attack damage, but still gets outpaced for the Skull.
Yeah. Charizard is really strong. This meta is great neutral coverage. You can hit most things in the meta for neutral damage, as well as really hard with those blast burns. And now that they've got that wing attack buff in the latest season, it spams out those moves super quickly. Upper Shield can be really dangerous for this Ember meta.
It'd be interesting to see if Dank brings in Mamoswine for the third game, or he
I'd
leaves it
love
on
to
the
see
bench.
it. Yeah, I'd love to see the Memo memes in Game 3. He secured his trip into the semi-finals. And here we go. Let's see, Dank's led Charizard into Dennis's Quillfish. Take away Murkrow.
Yeah, and this is going to be a favourable matchup here for the Quillfish. We can get to these Aquatails, although these Blast Burns are no joke. See whether or not there's going to be a shield here or not.
Looks like Dank's opted no shield this first one, knowing that he can survive it and still get off a move. He's going straight for the Blast Burn, and Dennis is shielded.
Yeah, he wants to preserve that Quillfish for later in the game. If you can get rid of that Charizard, maybe he just thinks that Blast Burn is going to be good damage. And if you've seen, Dennis didn't bring his Polyrath either.
Oh, there you go. And it looks to me like Dennis is running Poison Sting on his Quillfish, so he's going to be spamming out those Aquatails super quickly. And he's made a switch here into the Charizard and caught himself a Dragon Claw for his troubles.
And then just farm down with the wing attacks. Oh, he's a quick switch into the Quillfish.
Yes,
Dank's going to try and get to the Aquatail.
Yeah, smart play there by Dank to not let his Charizard get farmed down and not get too far behind on energy, forcing another shield out of Dennis with those Aquatails from the Quillfish.
And these poison jabs are doing damage to this Zard.
Absolutely. We see here the difference between Poison Jab. Oh, and look at that big blast burn.
Takes it out.
Okay, going for a very aggressive counter down here. Surf-etched into the Charizard.
And we got a shield. Yeah, we got a shield here on the Surf-etch, and it looks like he's going to counter it down, give it a bit of energy onto whatever Dennis brings in next.
And he's met by the Quillfish. So this isn't a bad decision here by Dennis. He's going to have to force Dank to throw some energy. This is a resisted Leaf Blade. Will it do enough to KO?
Yes, it will.
Just barely. And the Gligar back down to 0 shields. Dank's gone, I can't afford to get to a Brave Bird here. I'm just going to throw his energy as soon as I can.
Yeah, just do some chip damage.
But as you'll notice, his Charizard's super low on health, and he goes for the catch. Oh,
it doesn't.
Looks like he got it. There we go.
A nice catch by Dank.
Great catch there by Dank. Will he have enough health and energy to get a move off into the Gligar? Oh, it doesn't look like it.
No. He tried his best with the catch there. It just wasn't quite enough. And that was a nice win by Dennis.
Dennis pulling it back to a 2-1. Really great battle there. Come down to the wire.
It's why it's always good to play these third games. Show us some great battles by some great battlers.
Absolutely agree. Bit of a tough matchup there, I would say, for Dennis, with having to deal with all the utility that Dank had with a Surf Etched. Those Brave Birds doing huge damage.
Yeah.
And not really having a solid answer to that Poliwrath.
Yeah, Dennis just shielded at the right time. And unfortunately for Dank, even though he got the catch, it just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, taking another look at the teams here, Electivire seems to be the only electric type of choice. Looking at the meta previously, I've noted that Zapdos and Galvantula are also pretty solid electric type picks. Is there any other spice that you were sort of expecting to see tonight, Murkrow?
It's kind of hard, the electric types, just because it's a meta where it's not real bulky. So depending on what electric type you're bringing, on what job you need it to do. The electric types that I've seen as well is Emolga in a few practices. So, but it looks like when it comes to the big tournaments and when people are really wanting to test things, Electivire is the electric type that people bring. Just as well, it's got that ice punch.
Yeah, I 100% agree there that the coverage option it has is significantly better than some of the other electric type options in the meta. Looks like Steve tried his Soon Electrode and didn't really enjoy it. That's quite sad, Steve, because Histrode is one of my favourites to run. And I have thought about bringing him in factions so far, but I haven't.
Yeah, it was good bit of meme and try something different. And that's what those tournaments are about as well. Before we get to weighted seal stuff, just try mines, see what works, see what doesn't work. And it wasn't a bad shout just to bring in, as you said, the Syrian electrode, just for the grass damage as well on the on some of the mines. But as I said, I'm pretty sure just for the ice types, ice punch, Electivire. What I am interested in though is whether or not double electric will make it on someone's team.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting option, but I think if you come up against a double ground team, you're really stuck in the mud.
There's a lot of Piloswines and there's a lot of Gliscors that are in everyone's six.
Yeah, no, I've seen teams that have gone for Piloswine, Gligar, and Gliscor. And if you're bringing double electric, you've got not a lot of places to run.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing with this meta as well. If you swap into the wrong thing, and you can just get
yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. So it looks like we should be getting started into the next round shortly. Hopefully we can have a quick look at the battles as they come up. I do believe that Jim will be moving on to the finals as well. So we should have Jim versus either Triple Clit or Rick Flareon and Dank versus the other.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be some top battles coming.
Yeah, we have a look at Jim's team. He's got the Runerigus and the Primate, which are unique to his team. So that's a really interesting picks there by Jim. It looks to sort of core broken road a little bit there too. So I'm surprised we aren't seeing more Runerigus. It's quite a strong, bulky Pokemon. There aren't many bulky Pokemon in this meta, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Do you want to bring a mon in that's got a bit of bulk that's just outside the core meta? Because it's kind of a risk to do that, but at the same time, the bulk is pretty good in this meta where its bulk's probably not its strong suit.
Yeah, no, look, I like Runerigus a lot. It's got a lot of neutral coverage with those Shadow Balls being not only a big damage move, but same type attack bonus as well. And Quillfish, the predominant dark type in the meta, it still hurts a lot from the combination of Sandstorm and Shadow Ball as well. I think
And
Runa Regis does look to perform quite well on PV Poke, but a lot of that's bait related too. So maybe a lot of trainers are starting to realise that as well.
what moveset are you expecting on everyone's team for Quillfish?
We saw the two differences there between Dank and Dennis with the Poison Sting and Poison Jab. And I think maybe Dennis had Dark Pulse in his as well, if I remember correctly. I think the standard moveset is Jab, Aqua Tail, and Shadow Ball. That's got the most neutral play. I think Sting has a nice little niche where it can really spam those Aqua Tails out and outpace a Charizard, whereas the Poison Jab doesn't quite outpace the Charizard and can actually lose that matchup if they get baited correctly.
Yeah, and the Poison Jab just does fast move damage. So it's whether or not, as you said, just weighing up the fast move plus the getting to a charge move quicker. It's just as well as the play style of the trainer.
No, you're absolutely right. Okay, looks like round 2 is up. We've got Rick Valerian versus Dank Road and Triple Crit versus Jim2504. So I think we'll get Rick versus Dank up next. So Timber Showdown.
Yeah, there's going to be some blood there. And now we see the teams. What do you see? There's a few common ones being used here.
Yeah, mate. Look, we've got 4, basically 5 of the exact same Pokemon on both sides. So once again, like we just spoke about, moveset differences could be key here. And down to the Mamoswine versus Piloswine combination. I wonder whether Mamoswine wins CMP there against the Piloswine.
I don't believe it does.
No, it's interesting to see. That might be the reason that Dank's brought it, because other than that, they've got the exact same moveset. So it's it's certainly an interesting call there by Dank. We see again here that there's an Electivire on the opponent's team. Dank clearly knows how to deal with that, and I think he'll take a similar approach to this battle as he did against Dennis.
Yeah, you just need to get that matchup right. If you leave the Electivire unchecked or it gets into a good position, then it's pretty good. But as you said, if it's checked, then Electivire will just need to get out of there quickly.
Yeah, an interesting thing to note too is that Surfetched can beat Electivire because of the counter damage, and Electivire cannot take a Leaf Blade from after those 5 first counters. So that Surfetch really applies a lot of pressure against this Electivire, and it can also do a lot of damage against the Poliwrath. So might be a bit of a core breaker here for Rick. He might choose to bring double flyer strat.
Yeah, it's it'd be interesting to see how Rick sees this matchup and whether or not he wants to go down that route or he sees the Poliwrath as a bigger threat and try and counter that. But the Poliwrath looks pretty good. So if Dank sees it that way, then you'd be bringing the Surfetch just to try and threaten the Poliwrath as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I think looking again at those Poliwrath movesets, whether there's going to be any difference there between the two, and really evening up that mirror match, or will it be another case of one person has a distinct advantage in that matchup? Because it can make or break a team composition in this meta.
For sure. It'll come down to how the opponent wants to play the matchup. If they go with the same team, same moveset, then anything's possible, and it's just going to come down to energy management.
Yeah,
and CMB can come into it too if there's a leader of the same mind. So I wonder how the trainers take that into account.
There's a lot
with a condensed meta.
There's a lot to be said for running a high attack Pokemon in this meta, because there's so many mirror matches. I think that having something with a bit higher, base attack, something like a 10 attack rather than a 5 or 3, like we might normally use for a Sylph matchup, can actually be an advantage despite the lack of bulk, because no one's running bulk anyway. And if you're winning those CMP ties, you're already at an advantage.
Which is why you're seeing people run the poisonous thing on Quillfish just to try and get the charge move a bit quicker, put the pressure on the opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention that this is Rick Flareon too that we are talking about here. He is one of Australia's top battlers. He's represented us as a country at the World Championships, and of course himself after earning his spot there at the Melbourne Regionals. So his energy management will be on point, and I think Dank will have his work cut out for him to try and keep up. But we know Dank is also a top battler.
Yeah, 100%. Rick's a top battler. He's represented Australia and all that. In saying that, Danks knows what he's doing as well, so it should be a real good matchup.
Yeah, I think we've had some behind-the-scenes tech difficulties, but it seems to be clearing up now. So I think we should be able to get our battles underway soon, hopefully. Sorry for the delayed chat. Does anyone in chat have a spice pick for this meta that anyone has liked or found a bit underwhelming? I'd like to hear from you guys as well.
I tried Emolga to start off with, just as a spice. I just couldn't get it to work as the flyer in that, because you have Glasgow. Yes, it's a ground as well, but you want the double. I feel like double wing attack mines are preferable in this meta.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot less resisting the wing attack than there is for the Thundershock of Emolga as well. So there's that benefit that you have there too.
And it's very glassy. Probably more glassier than some of the other mons.
Definitely. Seems like glass is the
name of the meta.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the Ember it's named after, Pokemon are passing in a fleeting second. So, it's really, really makes a quick, high.
What I would like to see, though, is after a few weeks, whether or not the meta shifts a bit and how it shifts.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see that because there's certainly a core for. So we've got battlers locking in now. Hopefully we can get into the games in just a short second.
Don't quite have the battlers ready yet, but any second.
Sorry, team. Another thing to note here is whether or not everyone's running Dragon Breath or Wing Attack on their Charizard or even Fire Spin, because we do have a lot of options here.
Yeah, it looks like Wing Attack's been the main preference so far, but with the meta changing, it might change. It looks like both battlers are locked in.
We're getting underway. Thanks. Let's fetch into the Poliwrath. So this is a good lead here for Dank.
Yeah, it is. And there's a quick switch by Rick into the Charizard and quick switch again by Dank into the Quillfish, trying to get off these Aquatails.
Yeah, we can see here that it looks like Rick's opted for the Poliwrath double flyer line, which is quite a common one and quite safe in the meta. He's baited out the Quillfish with the Charizard, gone for the Blast Burn and gets shielded.
That was a nice shield. Does Rick let the Aquatail go, or does he shield it up? And it looks like he's shielded it.
Yeah, so he's chosen to shield that, hoping to get to another Blast Burn here before Dank gets to the Aquatail, and he gets there on CMP. So Dank going down 2 shields here, hoping to force a switch.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of this Charizard and preserve his Quillfish. Undercharge.
Oh, he's going to the undercharge as well. I wonder if it still KOs, and it doesn't.
Nope.
So a nice little farm.
Does he get to it? And he farms it down. That could be key into later part of this match. A bit of energy on this Quillfish.
Absolutely. Let's see what Rick decides to do here. And he's coming back in with that Poliwrath to try and get ahead on energy.
Dank wants to throw this Shadow Ball.
Yeah.
Does Rick shield?
Absolutely. He doesn't want to shield it, so he's trying to preserve that shield advantage while he can, looking to try and farm down this Quillfish, and he thinks he can't quite get there, so he's opted to throw a dynamic punch, revealing his moveset. to Dank that he will be able to hang in that mirror.
And he's still got a bit of energy on that Polyrath. And he's swapping straight away into that Gliscor.
He doesn't want to get farmed down, so we switch into the Gliscor.
And what a catch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still does about half.
Yeah, I mean, Surf Etched has got so much damage potential, and it's just going to absolutely chunk away at this Gliscor, which is of moderate bulk, but still doesn't take a move too well. And we can see he's opted to shield. I wonder whether Rick thinks he can farm this thing down here. I think Dank has switched in.
And here comes the Earthquake.
How much damage will this do? Is it enough to get that Polyrath out of here? No,
that's
not quite.
massive damage.
The Polyrath getting to the move. This is going to be a close battle, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be. How much energy does this Polyrath have? On Rick's side.
Yeah, absolutely. If Rick has a lot of energy here, he might be able to flip this match around, but
it's going to be close.
It's going to be tight. It looks like Dank's getting off the dynamic punch here to close out game one.
That was really a very close battle. Both that could have went either way.
Yeah, absolutely. We see here the difference of opting to go for switch over shield advantage and what that means for later in the game.
Yeah, he's just able to farm up enough energy to get off the move just before Rick.
Yeah, I think that the play there from Dank to undercharge that Aquatail, getting ahead on energy to threaten the Shadow Ball at the Polyrath was a really clever play, and I think probably turned the tide of that battle for sure.
Yeah, and it allowed that dynamic punch to go off at the end. Now, what changes do you see from Rick's side?
I think Rick had the right idea of the double flyer backline, but obviously he didn't catch the Surf Etched where he wanted it. And so I think he needs to adjust in a way that he can align one of his flyers against that Surf Etched to neutralize it.
Yeah.
And then hope that he can manage the Polyrath in the back, because that double fighter team is really quite strong despite what you would assume to be a type disadvantage.
Yeah, for sure. And we both know that Dank likes his Surf Etched. Oh, and we have a Mamoswine that's come in.
Charizard. I wonder if Mamoswine's running Stone Edge or whether it's got the standard moveset. Oh, and it's single moved. Check this out. Dank has gone for the single moved shiny Mamoswine and spraying Avalanche, and it's caught by the Polyrath.
That was a nice catch there by Rick. Won't shield, doesn't need a shield. And I wonder if he figures out eventually that he hasn't. Oh, and it's quick swap into the Polyrath. Does he get to the move before Dank?
It looks like a CMP tile, or am I mistaken? That might have been a mud shot sneak through there. Dank getting off this dynamic punch is going to put the Polyrath really low.
No shield as well. And he throws the dynamic punch back. Will Dank shield and preserve this Polyrath, or will he let it go? And he lets it go.
Yeah, he lets it go there. This could be an interesting call. I wonder whether Rick will try and get a farm down here with his Charizard to really threaten this backline that Dank is running. But he's going to have to start spending some shields soon.
Yeah, and the shield's coming now. Otherwise, the Skull will do major damage. I wonder if this Charizard's going to try and wing attack down now and just give this Charizard so much energy.
Oh, and it looks like he's successful. And looks like Rick's up to double blast burns here, so he's going to absolutely tear these shields off.
Yeah, this is going to be frantic. And he shields a blast burn. That was a good shield by Dank.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Rick's trying to go again for a lot more energy. Goes for another blast burn, and Dank has shielded.
Yeah, I think this is some pretty good play here by Dank, just knowing that he can two-shield all the energy out of this Charizard, threaten Aquatails, get the final shield off this Zard, and really look to get ahead on energy to force out the closing part of this match.
Yeah, and you go for another blast burn here. This should take it out. Takes it out.
Look at that damage. And now we see the fate
Mamoswine
to Piloswine. Does this Avalanche do enough to KO this Piloswine? It's going to do a lot of neutral damage.
Yeah, it will. And it looks like it survives.
Just hanging on. getting to its own avalanche to return fire against his older brother. The shiny single move to Mamo. And we can see here that we're going to a game 3, 1-all.
That was a nice adjustment by Rick, and it'd be interesting to see what Dank saw in the Mammoth Swine matchup. Maybe he thought that the Glasgow was coming. Just unfortunately, single moves as well.
Yeah, I think Dank may have brought that shiny Mamo in as more of a meme pick, but obviously it still performs quite well with the exact same moveset as Piloswine, just a little bit less bulk. I think he was probably trying to catch a flyer lead, knowing that Rick would have to adjust to that surf edge lead from game 1.
Yeah.
But Rick played that matchup really well to ensure that he would get, he had so much energy onto that Charizard to really threaten all those shields and then sweep it in the end with his Piloswine.
And getting so much damage on that, so much energy on that Charizard, just continually throw blast burns, just put so much pressure on Dank.
It looks like we're locked in for game 3 already. These guys aren't messing about. We've got Poliwrath into Quillfish. Take it away, Murkrow.
So we have a good lead here for Rick. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. We have a quick swap out into his own Poliwrath. There's an energy lead for Rick, and he goes straight to the Dynamic Punch.
Yeah, this is going to do about 6% of that Poliwrath's health. And, honestly, in this meta, Poliwrath is probably the best Poliwrath answer, if I have to be honest with you, because it can no-shield their first move, whereas a lot of Pokemon cannot, with the risk of getting almost one-shot. So we're going to receive a return fire here.
It does so much damage. And we have another Dynamic Punch. And Shield's coming too. So he's wanting to preserve this Poliwrath and potentially get off another Dynamic Punch to take it out. Just Poliwrath being so good in this meta.
Yeah, you see Danky, he's overloading on energy. He knows that he can't survive another Dynamic Punch, and he's throwing it before Rick gets to his third, and taking out the Poly on Rick's side, and is greeted by a Charizard.
Will we get a shield here? Yes, we get a shield. Scald. Otherwise, Scald would pretty much take it out.
Scald does about 90% of Charizard's health, and you can see here that Dank switched out into that Quillfish matchup that we've seen a few times already tonight.
Will we get a shield here? And we get a shield. Good call by Dank. He knows that Rick's been throwing Blast Burn after Blast Burn.
Yeah, great call there by Dank to shield straight away. Rick opting for the safe play of just throwing a nuke and hoping for the best, getting a shield or a lot of damage. Either way is a win. And we see here, CMP tie going Charizard's way. This Quillfish looks to be in a lot of danger.
Yeah, Quillfish is in a lot of danger, and Charizard looks like it's going to take it out here with this Blast Burn.
What does Dank do here now, though? Because he's only got a low HP Poliwrath and a Surf Edge, which is going to take a lot of damage from those wing attacks.
He's going to potentially try and get a third shield here on this Poliwrath down the track. This Dragon Claw is going to chip away at it.
Yeah, he's going to have to eat a move here, and that Surf Edge isn't going to enjoy that. Already down into the red after a move like Dragon Claw. Gets to the Brave Bird, though, against the good score. Will this do enough?
What a swap. Dank needs us to take it out. Oh, so close.
Wow. Not quite. And it looks like you can't farm it down either. And game 3 goes to Rick.
There was some awesome battles, high quality battles from both trainers. A lot of energy management that was well done there. I think got that. And that nice catch on the Glasgow from the Brave Bird that the ducks threw.
Yeah, and Rick going back to that super strong poly double flyer line. It's a hard one to beat if you know how to play it well, and clearly Rick does. So, despite we didn't see any Electivire, I don't think, in any of those games. There's a lot of just Quillfish, Charizard. I start,
Poliwrath.
yeah, which in my experience is the staple of this meta.
And the energy management was so key as well. And if the trainers can know when to catch, it just puts them in good stead as well.
Yeah, you almost have to use your Pokemon as third shields in this meta, given that they're so squishy. I know 2 shields isn't enough for one battle, unfortunately.
No. Otherwise, we'd have the matches be over very quickly. Otherwise,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Rick has secured his place in the grand final for tonight's Australis Shield. And next up, we get to see Triple Crit versus Jim 2504 to see who will be joining Rick in the grand final.
yeah, these are some top battlers. I know Crit's been looking into the meta a fair bit, doing some practices and that. And Jim's a top battler himself.
No, you're absolutely right. Jim, a previous winner of the Shield, knows what it takes to get it across the line. Triple Crit, this would be his first Shield win, so, new cab off the rank here would be great to see. And it looks like we've got the team reveal.
Yeah, and the thing that stands out straight away is nose dart on Jim's side. You just got the Primate, which is a spicy pick potentially. But yeah, the Polyrath is going to be fairly dominated in this match, I feel.
And I've just received information that Jim won't be able to share his screen for these battles, so we're going to be seeing it from Triple Crit's side. That's not to worry though, because we'll still be able to get a full picture of the match, just not the backlines on Jim's side. Now, it's a great point there, Murkrow, that no Charizard on Jim's side. That's unusual for Ember, I have to be honest. Everyone's loving the Charizard. It's super neutral, but he's replaced it, as you can see here, with the Primate and the Runerigus for those neutral damages.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well. Trainers bringing different mons in. It can catch opponents off guard, and then they have to try and figure out what to do on the fly, which be an advantage for them.
No, you're absolutely right. And Primate I like because it's got great coverage moveset of Ice Punch and Night Slash as well as those counter damage. Counter as well even in the resisted matchups, like against the Charizard, it still chips away, So good to see how well Jim utilizes this Primate to somewhat try and overcome Triple Crit's team.
And both are running the Gligar this time. I think Primate just needs to avoid taking too much wing attacks from the Zard and the Gligar.
I think even the poison jabs from the Quillfish, if it's running poison jab, will do a lot of damage against a Primate being so squishy.
Yeah. Will we see the Electrifier from Triple Crit?
Triple ground.
Yeah.
On Jim's side, I don't know. It'd be a big call, a great team read by Triple Crit if he brings Electivire and manages to pull it off. But I think it's going to be a tough pick, which might open up, Jim's Polyrath to have a bit more play.
Yeah, Polyrath. Both got the Piloswine. Jim's moveset on the Quillfish, that could be interesting as well. See if he goes standard or whether or not he goes a different route with the moveset.
Absolutely. And I think even the Runerigus here has a lot of play if it avoids the Quillfish in a sort of up shields scenario. It can throw Shadow Balls at everything.
Yeah, Runerigus, the Shadow Claws are just good, especially if they Sand Tomb and just debuff the opponent, and Shadow Claws can just run right if not resisted.
There's nothing worse than shooting a Sand Tomb, knowing you're going to get hit by a Shadow Ball next time after that debuff. It's just going to do
I believe I've done that myself once before.
I think we've all been there, whether it's Sand Tomb or Bubble Beam or you name it. Acid Spray.
It just makes you crook in the stomach when you're shielding that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Is there any chance the Primate runs cross chop?
It's a possibility, yeah, for sure. I think you then have to be a little bit selective with what your second move is, whether you want to run Night Slash or Ice Punch. But definitely cross chop with that stab, heavy hitting damage into the Piloswine or even the Quillfish would be quite useful.
Yeah.
And it's a bit better into the Poliwrath matchup too.
Yeah, so it looks like we're just waiting on Triple Crit and Jim to be ready, and we'll be good.
The other moveset that's underrated for Primate is Close Combat.
Yeah,
takes a bit more energy to get to, but if it lands, my god, it's doing some damage.
Yeah, it'd be really good to see whether or not Jim brings the Primate to start off with, and then the move set. Because as you said, the close combat just does massive damage to most things. And what would you pair it with? The Ice Punch for the Zard Gligar, or would you go the other move, the
I
Night
think
Slash? I feel like
I
Ice
would.
Punch has more play.
Yeah, I agree. Ice Punch, you're hitting 4 times super effective against Gligar, Gliscor, and you're still doing neutral against things like Quillfish and Electivire and so on. Night Slash, you're only hitting ghosts with, and as we can see, ghosts aren't super common in this meta.
Yeah, no, the only ghost that I've seen at the present is Runerigus.
There have been some Trevenants floating around, which is surprising that it's not up there more because it's such a strong mob in the open format, as we know. But all these wing attackers have certainly scared it away for this meta.
And it's good against the Poly as well if it's not running the Ice Punch.
You're right there. It's
the problem is there's just so many like Piloswines, Charizards. You've got Quillfishes that could potentially be running Ice Punch. Electivire's running Ice Punch. There's just a lot of mons with charge moves that can just do super effective damage.
Yeah. And Quillfish is such a hard wall to Trevenant. Even though the Shadow Balls still do a lot of damage, you can just overfarm, and destroy someone's backline with excess energy.
Yeah. I wonder if Jim goes Ice Punch here. If he thinks the Gligar is going to be more prevalent on Triple Crit side, just to change it up and catch him off guard and go to the Ice Punch Surf. But then he's walled to the obviously Poliwrath, which is going to be prevalent.
You're right. Another thing to note is that we can TM movesets between battles tonight because of the live stream. We have allowed that any person can change their moves between rounds, not between each battle. And so there's always the chance to have a scout at your opponent's team ahead of time, make a select few changes here and there based on what you see against the opponent.
And that's something we haven't seen very regularly. So if someone does it, hats off to them.
Yeah, for sure. In the standard Seal format, we don't see it. It is a little bit more common in the factions format, which is where we're already seeing this meta as it is. The other thing is that most things have a pretty standard moveset in this team with, the Powder Snow, Avalanche, High Horsepower on the Piloswine, etc.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Piloswine brought in this matchup just to potentially, if Jim suspects the Electivire, like, yes, there's triple ground. However, Piloswine's probably the best choice out of those ground types, as long as it avoids that Poliwrath and Zard.
And even though it gets hard walled by that Poliwrath, those high horsepowers do a lot of damage. And Poliwrath cannot take 2, so it has to really respect that damage. Often can force a shield out of the opponent.
I think that's been a great update as well, the high horsepower into Piloswine, Mamoswine.
I was very excited when I saw that update come through. I've always been a bit of a Piloswine enthusiast from back in the day. It's made
a bit more about usable as well, because Bulldoze was just such a terrible move.
Yeah, no, it sure is. Another thing has access to, people often forget, is Stone Edge, which would really just take those flyers right out of the sky. That Charizard does not want to see a Stone Edge coming through.
Yeah, that would be good if someone brought in a Stone Edge pile of swine just to completely change it up. I don't
Yeah.
reckon the opponent will see it coming just because they're expecting the high horsepower avalanche.
All right, and it looks like finally we have an invite that has been successful on the trainer's end. We know what it's like with this game sometimes. You can send invites back and forth with no
Yeah,
response at the other end.
yeah.
Um,
The way that things are going at the moment, invites are just happening left, front, and center, and it looks like Jim's choosing his team.
yeah, what are we expecting to see in the lead here, Murkrow?
I'm expecting the Polyrath.
Into a Runerigus? That'd be a great call. Okay.
And a quick swap out from
instant swap.
triple crit into the Quillfish.
Yeah, interesting choice to switch out there straight away, knowing that you've got the type advantage against this Runerigus. But it does eat a Sand Tomb on his Quillfish, and now Jim has switched out into his own to mirror.
Yeah, he's going to get this Aquatail off here just to do some damage. I believe that he wants to preserve the Polyrath for later on in the match. Polyrath just seems to be such a good closer.
You're right. I think in the 2 shields, it's going to take a lot of damage from Shadow Claws while only doing mud shots back. And as you see here, an Aquatail coming through, almost KOing Triple's Quillfish, but he still gets onto that last Aquatail.
Will we get a
shield
shield?
it? No, knows he can comfortably take it and has switch advantage.
See what he comes in here with, and he comes in with just letting the timer go down, coming with his Charizard, potentially wing attacking it down. Oh,
and
nice
catches an
catch there.
Aquatail. Look at that. Banking that energy for later, taking a resisted Aquatail onto his Polyrath. That's a top level play. Really well played there by Triple Clip.
And he's just going to farm down those mud shots, get a bit of energy on that Polyrath. And he had his own Polyrath coming in. He's ahead on energy as well.
Look at that. He's caught a dynamic punch on the Runerigus. That's
not nice play there by Jim.
That does no damage. And now Jim has just said, oh, you can catch, I can catch too. Let's see what you can do.
Polyrath Willy bait. And he ends up throwing the Sand Tomb. That was a good no shield there by Triple Crit.
You're absolutely right. That no shield has really allowed this Polyrath to get off a couple of moves here when it might not have. So risky call, but he's done the right one, and he does get a shield off of Jim.
And it's a race for the next charge move, and he gets the Scald. Will Jim let it go, or will he shield again?
And Jim has committed to the 2 shield deficit here. He's going on CMP tie, and Triple Crit said, Polyrath, you've done your job. Have a rest there, buddy.
Undercharge as well.
Hoping to get a farm down, but Triple Crit sees it coming, switches out into the Charizard, and goes straight for the Blast Burn. This will do
a lot of damage. Takes it out.
And now we've got a 2 shield fire type versus a 0 shield water type. And I think this is going to be really tough here for Jim to pull it back, especially when he's only doing resisted mud shot damage against this Charizard.
Yeah, Triple Crit's just going to go for the Blast Burn and then shield everything that comes into Jim. Just potentially farm down with the wing attacks.
And we have confirmed here by the look that it is a Dynamic Punch Scald Polyrath on both sides. You see the attack drop coming through, but I don't think it's going to make a difference in this matchup.
No, it's not going to make a difference. This Dragon Claw will come through and end the match. That was a well played by both trainers. There was a lot of good catching there from Jim on the Runerigus and Triple Crit early to preserve that Polyrath.
Both trainers really showing their skill and their ability to count moves. Something that's quite crucial in this meta. When you can really nullify attacks like that, it can really flip the tide of a battle.
What adjustments are you seeing for game 2?
I think Jim was on the right foot there with that battle. I think he had a solid lead. The Runerigus is going to be good up shields because there isn't any fast move pressure really aside from Powder Snow. But I think Jim has to really account for that Poliwrath. As we saw, it can get away from you and firing off those skulls and damage punches one after another really quickly, which opens up the door for something like a Charizard to sweep, as we saw recently.
Will we see the Primate this time, do you reckon?
It definitely could come out. I mean, Triple Crit went for a very safe team of sort of A, B, C, play the neutral Pokemon for Switch. That Primate can do a lot of damage, just fine. It gets away from those flyers.
Yeah, Triple Crit just brought the Metacore there, Poliwrath, Quillfish, Charizard, and I would be surprised if he doesn't change a winning formula, but we'll see going into game 2 what adjustments Jim makes as well.
Yeah, you're right. I think something worth noting is that there was only one ground type in that team, so maybe Electivire comes out and says hello, and throws off a few wild charges and goes a few shields. Even the Runerigus matchup isn't terrible for Electivire because you have those ice punches and 2 almost KOs, and you can get to that before double Sandtoon, so could be an interesting play.
And what I noticed as well that Charizard on Triple Crit side just had so much play. The only answer Jim really had for it was the Poliwrath and potentially the Quillfish, just to try and get a bit of Aqua Tail damage on it. But Charizard just looks real good here.
You're right. Up shields, what can hurt it, It's got no super effective fast move damage coming through, which puts Charizard, a squishy Pokemon, in a really good spot. We see game 2 here, and hello, it look like we've got a bit of an error coming up. Hold tight, trainers. Hopefully we can get this sorted quickly.
Did you get a catch on what was brought there, or?
I think I saw a Gligar from Triple Crit, but I didn't get a look at what Jim was running, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw the Gligar, but I didn't get to see what Jim brought. It aired out beforehand, so you see what happens here.
Yeah, there may be a decision made to change the lead Pokemon, because I believe one of the trainers saw the opponent's lineup, whereas the other one did not. So just hold tight and see what the refs decide to do with this situation. It's a very unfortunate one that seems to be cropping up every now and then.
Yeah, because it looked like Triple Crit was bringing a different strategy there, which just unfortunately the game did what it did.
It looks like Steve's confirmed that Triple led Gligar and Jim has led the Hisuian Quillfish. So which would have been a neutral matchup. So while we wait for the trainers to decide whether they want to go with the same teams, same lineups, or opt to mix it up there. Usually with a self dispute, the person who lodges the dispute does not have the choice of same teams or different. It's up to the person who's being disputed against. But when both parties lag out, it's up to the refs.
That's I think they would have. It's just whether or not Jim saw Triple Crit's one or not, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now we only saw the Aqua Tail on Jim's side. Was that correct?
As far as I'm aware, I don't think we saw the second move on that Quillfish.
No, it was only that one move. So whether or not there's any adjustments or what Jim decides to, or what second move he has on it, be interesting to see if he brings it out again.
Yeah, he could be running another ice beam for the Gligar and Charizard. But just has to be mindful then that he's going to get walled by the Poliwrath too. So still awaiting a ref decision. Currently, hopefully we can get back underway with our battle soon.
Yeah, Bamboss or Steve will sort this out quickly.
Absolutely.
But if it's a reset, it'd be interesting to see what the trainers decide to do to change it up, or if they decide to stay the same.
If they're even allowed the option, of course, it's to be decided. I think easiest way to run it is run the same teams, just run it back. Everyone runs the same lines.
Yeah, there was no back team seen, so we'll see what happens here. Hopefully it won't be too long.
Looks like Band Boss has arrived. Fear not, help is here, and we should have a decision underway shortly. I think while we wait, what do you predict that battlers will have in the back lines for here if they're leading Coolfish on Jim's side and Geiger on Triple Grit?
I reckon Polyraf will be on both teams. Jim might go for Runarigas. It was pretty good if it avoided Polyraf, and the Shadow Claw is just pretty good. I would bring it again if I was Jim. If I was Triple Crit, why change a winning formula? Like, he brought the 3 mines. I reckon he potentially leaves Coolfish behind and goes Charizard Polyraf, because Charizard's just so good in this meta.
Yeah, I think Triple Crit will have to make a decision on whether he expects the Pilot Swine to come, in which case he'll definitely need to adjust his back line to allow for that, probably by bringing, like you said, the Polymath.
Yeah.
The Charizard does okay, but it can be quite a tight matchup. I think one fast move can flip that one either way, and so therefore the Coolfish might come out. It's a bit more of a safe option to put some pressure onto that Pilot Swine.
Yeah, and you'd want as much. I feel like since Polyraph's the main mon on both teams, just because it does so much damage with Scald and Dynamic Punch, you're just building around it.
Yeah, I think we are going to go with same leads, same teams. Common sense, and we'll prevail this afternoon, and we can get back into our battles soon, hopefully, with assuredly minimal delays from Niantic.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get a lag out again or error out. We can just get these battles through. And the thing that I'm enjoying, Fishy, is the top level battling of every competitor that we've seen tonight. The battles have been pretty tight.
Absolutely, everyone seems to be on a very even par here, and no clear advantages for either side. It's really up to micro decisions in the moment against, do I catch here, do I shield here, what move do I throw, and those are what changes the course of the game.
Yeah, and it looks like Jim's choosing a team, so he shouldn't be too far off.
And here we go, into game 2, Gligar into the Quillfish.
Yeah.
All right, as we can see here, with the Gligar and the Quillfish matchup, it looks like Triple Crit has got the Quillfish and Charizard in back, and he's going straight for the Aerial Ace. Interesting to note, no return on this Gligar.
Yeah, I think just because the return takes a while, he's just decided the Aerial Ace as well, the Polyraph, just to give it another option to hit with, potentially. Oh, that was a nice
catch there, and Jim has overfarmed slightly and thrown anyway. And an Aqua Tail coming through, so still no moveset reveal from Jim. Met by the Poliwrath now, this is going to be tough for Triple Crit to deal with.
He's going straight for that Shadow Ball. Let's see if Jim shields it all. Otherwise, this will do decent damage. And we've got no shielded.
No shield, look at that. That was actually a CMP tie here, so another move coming through from Jim. And Triple Crit has no shielded. Bye-bye, Quillfish.
He just lets that Scald go.
So now we've got 2 flyers here. I imagine that Triple Crit might try and get a farm down here to get ahead on energy.
He goes into the Gligar. Goes for the Night Slash to try and take it out before he can get to a move.
Hopefully this Night Slash will do enough damage for Triple Crit here, and it does. His gamble was paid off, and we are back to a status quo.
Yep. Pilot Swine, quick swap out into the Charizard. Try and get some quick energy. That Pilot Swine staying in. Switch.
Jim's made a great team read here, and he's brought the Pilot Swine, which is going to be putting a lot of fast and charge move pressure against these two flyers in Triple Crit's team. And we see here the Triple Crit's gone for the Dragon Claw bait, hoping to get some sort of damage or shields out of this pass line.
Does he shield? And he shields doesn't pull correctly. Now Triple Crit's going to try and farm up and get to the blast burn. Oh, looks like he got to the avalanche first, Jim.
I think at this point, the trainer's just going to shield everything, try and preserve these Pokemon as long as possible, getting to as many moves as they can, regardless what the opponent is throwing at them.
Goes for another Dragon Claw. Gets another shield.
This is the race here. Oh, and a switch and a combo play into the presumed Aqua Tail against Triple here. As we say goodbye to the Charizard, this is looking like a tight spot now for Triple Crit.
Yeah. That was a great combo play, and it looks like another Aqua Tail that's coming off. He's just going to spam these off. It looks like Triple Crit's trying to farm down.
Yeah, I think Triple Crit has to go for the farm down here, but Jim is really on top of this game at the moment.
This
pile of swine is loaded and healthy.
Yeah, here's a Night Slash. Let's see how much damage this does.
Will I don't believe it's going to...
Against the boost.
No boost.
Oh, will this take it out?
It's going to be a tight battle. Gligar 1 HP. Can it take out the pile of swine? Oh, and it does! 1 HP and a dream for Triple Crit. Wow,
what a match. That boost was critical.
That was insane.
That's top level battling from both trainers.
Really pulled the rug out of Jim's feet there with that boost to second Night Slash.
Yeah, and Jim made the correct team call by bringing in the pile of swine. Just gave Triple Crit's team a bit of issue.
Look, it was extremely tight, and I think we now have confirmed that Triple Crit will be moving into the grand final against Rick Flareon, but I think the crowd are keen to play a third match.
Looks like we won't be playing game 3.
Ben Boss has put the foot down. Time's too short for that side of non-shenanigans.
Yeah, we're going in. Looks like we're heading into the final now, the top 2 seeds.
Yeah, Rick Flareon versus Triple Crit, both excellent battlers. Both of them at the top of the Australian Silph leaderboard for Season 4, and really, really strong battlers in a lot of different formats. As we take a quick look at their teams on the top 2 lines, very similar teams here. The only difference being the Gligar and Gliscor.
Yeah, there's plenty of common mons here. Gliscor and Gliscor, pretty much the only different, but they both do the same job. And the fact that Triple Crit isn't running return is critical. Just changes the dynamic a little bit.
You could say it's triple critical. Sorry to steal your thunder there, Steve. Yeah, I mean, the Earthquake, though, on the Gliscor isn't going to do any damage to that Gligar. So I'd still suggest that Gligar has favour in that mirror matchup.
Yes, but I believe it needs to hit the return to win the Gliscor matchup.
Yeah, could also be one of those ones that comes down to who gets the boost.
Yeah.
Our favourite game.
And as we saw in that semi-final versus GM, that boost was critical in getting that win there.
Yeah, absolutely was.
How do you see this final playing out? Obviously, both got the same teams pretty much, except Gliscor. They both play slightly different and use different strategies. So it'd be interesting to see how they go about this.
I think we're going to see a lot of Poliwrath, Quillfish, Charizard. Which does open up the doorway for an Electivire. They can put a lot of damage on those 3 Pokemon. So there's always potential there for a pile of swine to come in to counter a potential Electivire. And
there's a lot of options coming in here for both players. Yeah. They're both top-notch, though, so I'm sure they've got their own strategy and they'll know what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right. And just a reminder to the chat as well, both of these players have qualified for next month's Australis Shield, being the top two in this month's tournament. So congratulations to both players.
Congratulations to both Rick and Triple Crit. Both have earned their spot in this final.
Absolutely. Of course, they've put in a lot of work to get here. Now, one thing I don't anticipate seeing is the ground flyers, the Glasgow Gligar, because they just don't quite have the play against the opponent's team. Really weak to the Polar Swine and not a lot of other targets out there. So I think we can safely say that they might be on the bench and leaving way for the other 5 Pokemon to do their thing.
Which brings the Electivire right into this, providing you can avoid the Polar Swine.
Yeah, of course, you're right. And then someone might surprise me run a double ground line, so anything can happen. It looks like the players are getting set up to send battles. Hopefully we get a smooth run in here and we can get underway shortly into this grand final of the first Australis Shield of the season.
And the one thing we haven't seen is a move change between rounds. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not the trainers just keep the same or they have come up with something that they can change a move and try and get an advantage.
No, you're absolutely right there. Rick might have been watching those last few battles and going, I might just change this, and I'll be sweet to go.
No, the way both battles are going, I reckon they'll be fairly standard in how they're going to go about this.
Yeah. We might see a dig come out from the Gligar, perhaps, for that Electivire matchup.
I can't see the Electivire. Sorry, I can't see the Gligar coming in. I believe it's just there's too many targets, as you said earlier on, and the Poliwrath, Charizard core with the Quillfish or Electivire. You can't fit them all in, so I reckon it'll be.
The hardest part of this game is having a team of 6 and only being able to pick 3 at a time.
And especially if you get your strategy right, all 6 will have a play.
Yeah, it's often a matter of re-identifying what are my best options and what has the best team synergy as well. You might find that 2 Pokemon both do really well against your opponent but get core broken by one in particular. And so if you're bringing both, you're leaving yourself wide open for a return fire.
And I wonder if Rick and Triple Crit were watching each other's battles just to see whether or not they got any traits of Mons they like using or strategies they saw that was constant or that they can identify to get an advantage.
As we saw Rick earlier today running that Poliwrath double flyer line, Triple Crit might decide to go, I can just leave Electivire and ruin you right off the bat. As you see, game 1 starting, we've got Polar Swine into Polar Swine.
This is going to be a mirror. Mirrors are always fun, and it looks like Rick Flareon's got the Poliwrath Charizard in the back. Charizard's going to be good. The problem is though, Rick needs to avoid the Poliwrath on the Charizard. Oh, sorry, the Charizard on the Poliwrath.
One thing to be of note in this matchup is, will CMP come into play here? Will the trainers opt to avoid it, knowing that they might have a low attack Polar Swine and avoid sort of getting themselves locked into that CMP event?
Yeah. And one thing to note as well, here comes another Avalanche. Triple Crit lets it go. There's no Poliwrath on Triple Crit side. That stands out to me straight away.
Yeah, so as we see here, the Poliwrath coming in from Rick, going to have to be greeted by this high horsepower, and Rick decides to no shield. And as we can see, that does over 50% of health to the Poliwrath.
And here comes a Charizard straight away, try and get some energy, try and farm it down. Oh, what a catch on the Charizard.
Yeah, Rick really counting those moves well, has caught the Dragon Claw onto his own Charizard. Does a little bit of damage, but certainly preserving that Poliwrath for later in the game with a loaded move.
Yeah, he sees his win con potentially as the Poliwrath being that key. Here comes another Dragon Claw. It's been shielded by Rick. Wants his Charizard to be around, try and get off. Potential move.
Yeah, I see Rick now going for the big blast burn. Will Triple Crit recognize what move is coming through, and will he shield? Opts for the no shield.
Oh, it does massive
look
damage.
at that. That KOs. That's so much damage.
Now, Rick's going for another blast burn. What will Triple Crit do? Can he identify it? Any shields?
Yeah, absolutely had to shield there. He's coming down to just about his final Pokemon. As we can see, an attempted catch there by Triple Crit. And now there's 2 moves loaded on this Poliwrath. Will he be able to get both off into the Squirfish?
First one gets shield. That's a good move. Can he get his second Dynamic Punch off?
Looks like the Poison Jab going through has KO'd.
Game 1 to Triple Crit. That was pretty intense. Not a down to the wire battle. The no Poliwrath was the key there, obviously. He's decided to go to the Quillfish, and it's paid off for him.
Yeah. Unfortunate to see a little bit of lag at the start of that game there. Rick really getting behind on Powder Snow counts in the mirror can really flip that matchup, unfortunately. We'll have to see whether Rick opts to run a replay. And
yeah, it looks like they're going to replay.
Okay, great. I think this will be really interesting now that we saw a close end game there. Whether this change in hopefully no lag presents a different outcome.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a hold up. Bambos wants to say something. But does Triple Crit want to change the same backline or different, do you reckon, now seeing what's happened in the replay game?
Yeah, it's up to Triple Crit now to decide, as we spoke about earlier, whether he wants to run the same backline or a different backline. As per the replay rules. So if Triple Crit does decide I want to run a different backline, he may opt to come in with a bit more of a definitive Poliwrath answer, perhaps, or bring his own Poliwrath.
It looks like they're going to mix up the backline.
So leads will stay the same, and the trainers are at their leisure to decide different.
No, we're going new whole teams.
There you go. The power of the replay.
Do you anticipate any changes from either player?
Well, yeah, that's a really tough question to ask. Obviously, we saw the Piloswine mirror. Perhaps Rick, losing that game 1, decides that he would like to leave his Poliwrath to counter that.
Yeah.
But as we're going to completely new teams, it could be anyone's guess as to what these trainers like to bring. I think the bold strategy here is to run Electivire lead and see whether you get caught on a knockdown type.
We'll see what these trainers are thinking. The fact that we'll see if Triple Crit brings his Poliwrath or leaves on the bench again. I found that very interesting strategy on Triple Crit's behalf, considering how strong it is.
Yeah, it is really strong, but it also really does take a lot of damage from 3 to 4 of those opposing Pokemon. So it's all a matter of reading your team, reading the opponent as well as the opponent's team. What does the opponent like to bring, and where will they decide to place it? So it looks like we're getting locked in for our rematch of game 1.
Hopefully, and we'll see what the competitors bring. See whether or not they go same leads or they decide to change it up a bit with their team.
Yeah, and we may see both trainers opt to go the same teams.
Look, I've seen that strategy happen plenty of times, and it's paid off.
As we see here, triple crit gone for the Electivire into the Electivire. Both
They're
trainers.
both thinking at the Electrifier. Yeah.
Wow, what a big call by both trainers here. As you see, those wild charges come up so quickly, and triple crit has exited the match, recognizing lag on Rick Flareon's end, and decided to end the match quickly for fairness' sake.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see the mirror again in the Electrifier this time.
Yeah, I wonder if we get a third round in a row of mirror leads, we might get to see the Quillfish come out maybe as a neutral option for the lead.
Yeah, and the backlines as well. The fact that the opponents have seen each other's backlines for a second time, whether or not they try to change it up again or they're trying to get an idea on what they're thinking.
Absolutely. As we look at the previous two games, or start of the second game, Quillfish does have that option of pretty good coverage against the Piloswine and the Electivire. And you can also run a style of play where you want to soft lose or soft win lead matchup, and then try to align your back line against the opponent how you want it, instead of running the classic ABB or ABC line.
Yeah. Are we calling a Quillfish mirror in the lead?
I think we might be.
We'll have
or
to
a
see.
Polyrath mirror. Who knows?
We'll have to see how it pans out, and whether or not the trainers decide to bring in the Electivire again. That will be even in the back line, because it feels like that mine's playing. If it can just avoid, as we've talked about, the ground, it's doing good. Just give it a bit of energy lead.
Yeah, we may see someone elect to re-lead the Electivire into a Piloswine, or someone go, who's going to lead the Piloswine because I let Electivire, I'm going to go Polyrath. These are all the mind games that often happen in these self matchups.
And these battlers will be keeping note of all of this and opponent's team changes, so they'll make some adjustments accordingly. Just to try and get any advantage possible.
Yeah, exactly right.
It looks like they're sending again, so should have the battle shortly.
Yeah, the Electivire mirror match is an interesting match there as well, because you've got the Wild Charge as a big nuke option, even though resistant does a lot of damage. But if you're in the mirror and you throw on CMP, that's the CMP you don't want to win, because you don't debuff your defense straight away, which can lead to the next one coming through and KOing.
And whether or not they go for the Ice Punch instead of going straight for Wild Charge. And it looks like Triple Crit's going for the Electivire and Rick's going for the Charizard.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rick has opted to not share his screen for the sake of quality connection and has lost lead fairly hard. Triple Crit staying in here after the Piloswine switch out to throw an Ice Punch. I wonder if he stays in this matchup.
Do we get a shield? And do we get a switch out? No, he's staying in, trying to get some energy. He swaps out to the Polyrath.
Attempted catch there, doesn't quite pull it off. We assume here that Rick is going for a high horsepower into this Polyrath.
Does major damage there.
Yeah.
And does he throw? He's going to try to get some energy. Oh, he's willing to farm a bit more energy here. Do we get a shield?
Even an avalanche from this range would likely KO, so Triple Crit forced the shield if he wants to preserve this Polyrath and his energy that he's banked up, opting to throw again just before this Piloswine gets to its third move.
Does his skull go through? Because it's got so much damage, it could potentially go back, and he lets it go.
So Rick letting his Piloswine go, content with the shield advantage, comes back in with the Charizard. Will need to shield this Skull though, however. It's going to do a lot of damage otherwise.
Gold, farm down, just get some more energy on the Charizard just for the next matchup that Triple Crit comes in with.
And the attack drop there, that could be crucial later in the game, as we see Electivire coming back in and going straight for that Wild Charge.
Yeah, this is going to do major damage if it lands. And it then we get a shield here.
Great shield call there from Rick. As we see our first move coming through from this Charizard. A debuff Electivire, you assume a shield comes through here, and it does.
And we get a bait. Oh, he's got looks like double Dragon Claw. Will this be enough?
I assume from this range, I think it will just KO, and it does. Bye-bye Electivire, and now we're into a Charizard mirror.
And Charizard's got so much energy. It's going to throw, potentially dip. Blast Burn, that's going to do major damage.
Blast Burn coming through, met by the Coolfish in the back, and this looks like a Poison Sting Coolfish from Rick Flareon's end. It's going to have to tank a Blast Burn though. Can it hang on?
And it goes down.
Just barely enough to hang on.
Now who gets to the move first? Triple Crit throwing the Dragon Claw. Will this take it out or will it hang on?
This is going to be a close battle here. As we see, Charizard just not able to hang on.
Looks like Triple Crit takes game one.
Triple Crit finally taking game one as per the original game one.
Yeah, and you got a fantastic lead as well. You like to fire into the Charizard, which helped his cause.
Yeah, interesting that he stayed in when the pass line came in to try and chip it down a little bit. I wonder whether he would just into game number, was it 4 now, I think, to make that swap a little bit quicker and save a little more HP on that Poliwrath.
Yeah, no, he must have had a strategy to try and potentially get some extra energy on it, or he wanted to preserve his Poliwrath for later on. Look, it's just something that he's decided to do, and it's in the end he's won the battle.
Exactly right. What does Rick now have to do to bring this battle back? He's technically lost 2, even though the score is 1-0.
Well, we've noticed in the last match and the match after the first game, so before the second restart, the Electivire was brought. So does he call an Electivire in the back or a lead? Because if he does, if he can try and wall it, that will help him massively. If not, does he bring his own Electivire to fight fire with fire? Because there was no Gligar or Piloswine on Triple Crit side.
Yeah. So, opening the doorway for Electivire is always a risky play, but meeting it with your own can sometimes pay off. And we see game 2 here, Electivire lead into the Piloswine, so Rick coming back with a great lead this game.
He's caught it, and a quick slip into Poliwrath, trying to get some energy. Ooh, a little bit of a delay there by Rick, and we get this Scald. Will we get a shield?
Yeah, in this matchup, it's really about being as even on energy as possible, as we see the attack drop coming through, which is going to really impact this wing attack damage.
It gets another Scald off. Does he shield here and spend his last shield? Or is he? Yeah, he's done his shield. Now it's interesting to note Rick Flareon has got no shields left.
Rick has gone down 0 to 2 shields, firing off the first Dragon Claw, doesn't KO after that attack buff, and has to fire off another one if he wants to KO this Poliwrath before the Scald comes through and he loses his Charizard.
He looks like he's willing to let it go. Come in potentially with the Electivire, get some energy on it.
Electivire up 2 shields is very scary.
No. Can't just swap out either, because otherwise the Electivire will just swap into the Poliwrath.
So we see here Triple Crit going for a big overfarm, going now for the Wild Charge, hoping to KO this Charizard.
And it looks like it takes it out. Looks like a quick swap into Charizard by Triple Crit and into the Poliwrath.
Met by the Poliwrath from Rick's end. Charizard off a shield, you'd think this would be somewhat comfortable, but does have to land a few moves here to get rid of this thing. and only 2 skulls would be needed to remove the Charizard from play.
He's got a shield as well, triple crit, so it'd be interesting to see if he uses it now or he decides to keep it for later. And
Oh, he no
Charizard
shields. Wow, massive call there from triple crit. He's going to have to wild charge this Poliwrath if he wants to take it out, lowering his defense with the Piloswine matchup. This is going to be a bold strategy.
Puts all his eggs in that basket of the Electivire.
This Piloswine is extremely healthy, and these Ice Punches only do around 30% health, so he's going to need to get to a fair few here if he wants to KO this thing.
There's one. These Powder Snows are starting to chip away as well.
Yeah, it looks here that Rick has identified that he can probably fast move down this Electivire before it gets to too many moves due to that defense drop from the wild charge earlier.
Yeah, and it looks like the Electivire goes down with a shield in play.
Rick securing game number 2. So we are now 1-all into our 5th attempt at a match, or game 3 as we like to call it around here. Also, a big thank you to Steve, who has shared my GoFundMe travel fundraiser for my attempt to get to Worlds. I really appreciate that, mate.
Right. This is what we want around game 3, first Australian Shield of the season. What are we expecting in the finale?
Yeah, it's interesting here. The last 2 games has been a really polarizing league matchup, and we've seen that the person who wins lead has won the battle. Do the trainers now decide to go for a more neutral lead option to try and maneuver around the matchups a bit more strategically, as opposed to trying to play that more rock, paper, scissors style of matchup that we have seen in the last couple of games?
Yeah, the Quillfish is probably the safest lead, but the way the trainers have been going, they've been trying to go for a big advantage early on, and Rick called correctly in game 2.
I can see Poliwrath coming in here as a lead option, as it's going to do a lot of damage against whatever it meets in the lead. Aside from the Electivire, it can safely no-shield most moves and fire off a lot of damage in return.
Would the perfect strategy on both players is to leave the Electivire at home, potentially?
It's possible, yeah. It's always a good strategy to bring something super polarizing like the Electivire expected to be countered, and then not bring it. As we see, the Poliwrath on triple crit into Rick Flareon's Piloswine. Take it away, mate.
And we got a quick switch into the Charizard. Triple crit's quickly trying to get to these skulls, and it looks like a Dragon Claw's being shown here by Rick.
Yeah, Rick throwing that Dragon Claw straight away, getting a little bit of chip damage onto that Poliwrath. Triple crit, no shielding, returning fire with a Scald, which Rick, I imagine, will have to shield. And does so.
And we get a shield. Looks like there's a quick swap into Charizard. Wants to preserve that Poliwrath, the Piloswine matchup later on down the track.
Now, I also noted too that the Scald did trigger the attack fall on the Rick Flareon's Charizard, meaning the triple crit can now safely no shield that blast burn and build up to his own.
Yeah, he's built up to a lot of energy. He's just going to let the blast burns fly. Will Rick shield? He decides to let it go.
Yeah, I think Rick's decided that the attack debuff Charizard isn't worth his time here, and he's going to try and farm down this Charizard to get ahead on energy and threaten whatever's in the back.
And he goes for a quick blast burn. Will Rick shield?
And looks like the blast burn's led on a Poliwrath.
What a
catch there by Rick. And he's going to go for the mud shot down. This is very aggressive. But triple crit getting to the Dragon Claw just in time.
Yeah, he's going to get Dragon Claw off. Poliwrath's going to have a lot of energy though. The problem is it's running really low.
Yeah, this is a very low health team now on Rick Flareon's side. He's going to have to put out a lot of stops here if he wants to turn this matchup around. 2 shields remaining on triple crit's side. Does he decide to use them now?
Yeah, he wants to let it go and just put all his eggs in the Quillfish. Just poison jab down.
And Quillfish into the Piloswine. This is an interesting matchup. The poison jabs are resisted and the powder snows are not, but both Pokemon have access to super effective damage against the other Quillfish, slightly quicker though to the move.
No shield, the first one by Rick as well. It looks like Triple Crit's trying to farm this down or get to double Aquatail.
Yeah, I think Rick Flareon knows the writing on the wall and has conceded this game. Triple Crit with a dominating 2 shield flex victory in the deciding game. Very well played there by Triple Crit.
Yeah, and we have a new winner for first Sylph meta of the month of the year. Sorry.
Yes, Triple Crit. Huge congratulations. He has got his name up on the plaque for 2023 Season 5 of Sylph in the Arena Australis Shield format. Excellent plays by everyone all day long. It was such a tough fought final there as well.
Yeah, there was so many good battles tonight. I feel like anyone could have won that the way that anyone could have made it to the final and won it the way that the battles were high quality. It just happened in the end. Triple Crit was able just to read the lead in the finals, which really helped out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we can get Triple Crit in for a bit of a post-victory chat to pick his brain a little bit around what he thinks of the meta and how he managed to secure his win tonight.
And see if he finds anything that is a bit different and what his MVP was.
Absolutely. What do you think was the standout for you tonight, Murkrow?
The Poliwrath Charizard core I felt was pretty dominant on most teams, and when it wasn't brought, it was the teams fairly were caught out just because it was so strong. In saying that, what caught my eye was the catches from every trainer that we saw, like high quality battles. Everyone knows their counts. It's good, but yeah, the Poliwrath Charizard core was pretty good, pretty strong. What about yourself, Fishy?
Yeah, I tend to agree here. Everyone's playing at such a high level in the Australian PvP scene now. It's really great to see so many skilled battlers. And it looks like Triple Crit has agreed to come in for an interview, mate. Congratulations.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Ecstatic.
Excellent. What a nail biter of a final set of battles, mate. Well played.
When we finally got to battle.
Who was the tougher opponent, Rick or Lag?
It was definitely lag.
I think that was a slight to Rick.
Now, what did you think of this meta when you were building this team? What mons and how did you go about it?
Literally just looked at the top picks of everybody else and used them.
Fair enough too.
I think the meta is super duper condensed. Well, like you said earlier, Murkrow, there's 4 core mons. Charizard is going to be on every team. Though it actually wasn't tonight, which I was quite surprised at. I think Hisuian Coolfish every team. I think Piloswine is so strong. Like if you get rid of the Poliwrath, Piloswine just goes wild. It's really hard to run grass in this meta just because of the Charizards and the Quillfishes. Yeah, I just think it's super condensed. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, looking at the team spreadsheets, everyone's running basically the exact same team.
It was good to see a Marowak there.
Yeah, absolutely. The Marowak putting its head in. What was running through your head after those few lag resets and trying to select your team for the finally getting ready for our first game?
Well, the funniest part was us both going, he's going to lead this, so we'll go Piloswine. We both went Piloswine. And then the next game, we both went, he's not going to lead Piloswine. We're both going to lead Electivire. Yeah, I think I got a little bit lucky in the third battle, like the final battle, with that decision of where I lead Poliwrath. And he went back to Piloswine, so that really helped. Pressure felt, right off when I saw that lead.
Yeah, it's always relieving to see a lead win, and then just knowing that, all right, I just need to do what I can to maintain those alignments.
Absolutely. I mean, getting that debuff, that just secured it, I think. When he came in Charizard and got the attack debuff with the Scold. So I know I can easily eat anything from the Charizard, and that was good.
Yeah, that was good. So you were saying the core mons were what everyone was bringing. What was the one mon you thought was consistently good for you?
I would definitely say it's got to be Charizard. I think it just hits everything. I think Charizard is literally the best mon in the meta. As for like outside the core, I think Electivire really is that big core breaker.
Yeah.
Or even Surfetch, what Dank was using.
Yeah.
It really can break up a lot of teams. But it's so hard to, what do you want to be weak to? So you're either trying to double cover the Charizard and the Poliwrath with Electivire, or you're trying to double cover the Quillfish and the Poliwrath with Surfetched, and even the Piloswine, I guess.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and as we saw in Game 3, no Electivire, the Piloswine was kind of stuck on Rick's bench.
I quickly figured out that, the Electivire is very hard to run.
Yes. Yeah, Electivire is very polarizing, as we've seen. It either wins hard or it gets quite stuck.
Yeah.
We've spoken about what you reckon is the best one in the meta. Did there anything in the team that felt underwhelming?
Underwhelming?
Yeah.
To be honest, no. Maybe the most underwhelming was Gligar. It just doesn't hit hard. I think it's a really solid answer for the fighters, and it's really important to double cover them, so that you can at least bring a line of 3 with double covers for the fighters. Otherwise, they will run wild. Counter damage is just so oppressive in neutral matchups. So probably the Gligar, just because it just doesn't hit hard, and I think there's a big reason to run Aerial Ace over Return for the fighters, because that matchup is quite underwhelming when you're just throwing Night Slashes or needing to build up to a Return, which takes forever.
Yeah, I was going
to
ask you about that, the decision to drop Return for Aerial Ace.
In hindsight, it might actually be a good idea to run a Purified Gligar, but then run Aerial Ace and get rid of your Return.
Games.
Yeah. Really throw your opponent off.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, look, mate, once again, congratulations on your win tonight. Really great to see the top quality of battles that are coming out of the Australian Arena Australis server. Just like to make a massive shout out to Bamboss for his excellent running of tonight's tournament. And
thank you, Bamboss, PvP Steve, Fishy Legs, Murkrow. It was a pleasure to be here.
No worries,
thank you, mate.
It's good to see that you got the monkey off your back.
Finally got my win. Yeah.
Finally got his trophy. Look at him. Excellent.
Yes, and so you've qualified for next month's Australis Shield.
Awesome. I'll be there.
Fantastic, mate. Thanks everyone in chat for attending. We've had a brilliant night here tonight, and we will catch you all next month.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Fishy Legs. Did a good job.
Thank you as well, Murkrow.
Yes.
Bye.